From the studios of Ave Maria Radio in Ann Arbor, this is Veterans Radio. And now, here's your host, Dale Throneberry.
Good morning, America. How are you? And welcome to Veterans Radio. My name is Dale Throneberry, and I will be your host this morning in a beautiful day in Michigan. And joining me this morning is our engineer extraordinaire, Ken Rogie. Good morning, Ken. Oh, not a whole lot. I can hardly hear you, so we'll just have to go from there. This morning's program is really a special one that we've been working on for a while. We've called it Helmets to Hardhats, and it deals with the idea of going from the battlefield into the business world or to start your own business or to find work and so on. And we're going to have a number of really exciting guests, I think. Number one is going to be Ann St. Eloi of the United Associates Union program, and their program is entitled Helmets to Hard Hats. And what they do is they help military, reservists, guardsmen, and so forth transition from active duty as into the construction industry. And I've got some experience with that. I taught a class at the United Associates annual meetings that they have out here in Michigan, and I taught a class out there and met a number of different people that have participated in this Helmets and Hard Hats program, and so I'm pretty excited to have Ann on and a little bit after a while. Also, we have Bill Elmore, the Associate Administrator of the Office of Veterans Business Development, who'll be on to talk about the Small Business Administration's new Patriot Express program, helping you get your business started. If you are a veteran or a disabled veteran, whether you have an existing business or you want to start a new one, we're going to be talking about those ideas and how to get involved with franchises and so on. And then finally, we're going to have Rebecca David on, who is the Regional Account Manager for the CIT Small Business Lending Corporation. And they specialize in lending money for small businesses, and they've also got a new veterans franchise program going, and so she'll be here to answer your questions. I'm hoping that if you do have some questions while our guests are on, that you'll give us a call here at Veterans Radio at 1-877-573-7825. That's 877-573-7825. But first, we've got some news.
Yes, we do. And I got my mic working again.
Thank you.
I had pushed the wrong button, so I get that straight now. It's too early in the morning, you know. Hey, Navajo code talkers are being recognized. Finally, after many, many years, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff recently met with a group of Navajo code talkers to commemorate their outstanding service during World War II. The Marine veterans used their native Navajo language to baffle the Japanese during the war. More than 400 Navajo code talkers were trained in 1942 to 1945 to take part in Marine operations in the Pacific Theater. The code was so successful that it was not declassified until 1968. And that was, the Navajo code talkers were really amazing because their code was never broken by the Japanese. They never figured out what they were saying. And we had a show on them about a year and a half ago.
Right.
And had a couple of the code talkers on. They were interesting to talk to, and fascinating story.
That program is on our archives,
yes,
isn't it?
I think it is, yes.
Good.
The Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, otherwise known as TAPS, was designed to help friends and families who have lost loved ones in serving in the armed forces. TAPS was founded in 1992 in Anchorage, Alaska, and has been helping friends and families cope for more than 14 years. The program is now helping 10,000 friends and family reconnect and share support nationwide. The support program is sponsored by TRICARE, which is the military medical provider, and accepts donations to keep the program running. For more information, visit their website, taps.org.
Okay.
And the Bush administration is preparing a legislative proposal to present to Congress in September that would establish a separate and, under most circumstances, a more generous disability package for service members who are injured in war or while training for war. Under the plan recommended by the Dole-Shalala Commission, service members found unfit for duty as a result of combat or combat training injuries, regardless of the number of years served, would qualify for an immediate lifetime annuity from the Department of Defense. That's long overdue.
I think so. So many people have been waiting for years to get their disability payments that they've been entitled to, and in the meantime, they're trying to live their everyday life, and sometimes it doesn't work out too well.
And not just that they're waiting for them, but that they deserve them.
Oh, absolutely. And are they coordinating now between the Department of the various military groups, like DOD and the Veterans Affairs?
Yeah, they're starting to. One of the things Congress just recently did was mandated that the military services would get out of the disability evaluation process, and all disabilities will be evaluated by the VA. So there'll be one standard, and it'll be applied across the services.
Well, that's good. That would certainly be helpful, I would think.
Well, and the other interesting thing is that the military services and the Department of Veterans Affairs are sharing medical information. So if you are in the military and you're going to the VA has access to your military medical records.
Okay, there was a concern about that.
Yes.
Privacy issues that were brought up about that, supposedly.
Right.
I'm glad that they're doing that.
And I'm sure that you probably have to sign a waiver statement to,
Right. I've got a story here. Let me give this real quick. And it says the Army is looking to the National Guard for some help. The U.S. Army is turning to the National Guard to help in recruiting would-be soldiers in hometowns across America. Army leaders who have been struggling to meet their recruitment goals in the midst of the war in Iraq are quietly working out final details of a program that would give bonuses of $2,000 per recruit to any National Guard soldier who brings somebody into the active duty Army. This can either be an initial recruit or it could be somebody that transfers from the National Guard into the active Army. I guess, money talks, as they say, and it looks like something that they're going to be doing. Another quick story that I had here was about the soldiers in Korea, and this was Camp Red Cloud in South Korea. U.S. Army Garrison Red Cloud officials are urging soldiers and civilians urged them at a briefing on Thursday to get help if they are trying to deal with post-combat stress. Camp Stanley Operations Officer Captain Liz Mary Wilson's briefing also encouraged supervisors to watch for signs of post-traumatic stress disorder in their workers. We know that the military is trying to help all of you out there. If you know of somebody or you yourself personally are suffering from some of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, go get help now. It's not going to affect your career, and I think it's necessary. And it doesn't happen in the first couple of days after you get home. Sometimes it takes years for those symptoms to manifest themselves. That's our news for today. Right now, we're going to be going to our Welcome Home, and Ken, you've got that.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Dale. Welcome Home. Each week on Veterans Radio, we welcome home servicemen and women who have been stationed around the world in the service of our country. Soldiers for the Army's 3rd Medical Command, called Task Force 3rd MedCom, were welcomed home on August 24th in Fort Gillem, Georgia. 11 soldiers of the 475th Engineer Detachment Firefighters Unit of the Army Reserve's Creston Unit were honored in a welcome home ceremony on Saturday, August 25th in Iowa. 30 Lemoore Naval Air Station pilots returned home on Sunday, August 26th at Lemoore Naval Air Station in California. And soldiers from the 714th Security Forces of the Kansas National Guard were honored in a welcome home celebration on August 26th in Topeka, Kansas. Troops from the Wisconsin National Guard's 1st Battalion, 121st Field Artillery, were welcomed home on Saturday, August 25th in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Soldiers of the 113th Field Artillery Brigade were honored in a welcome home celebration on Saturday, August 25th in Greensboro, North Carolina. Soldiers of the Kentucky Army National Guard's 410th Quartermaster Company returned home to Danville, Kentucky on Saturday, August 25th, and soldiers of the Mississippi Army National Guard's 230th Finance Detachment returned home on Saturday, August 25th to Jackson, Mississippi. And 16 soldiers from the South Carolina National Guard returned home to Allendale, South Carolina on Saturday, and thousands celebrated the homecoming of troops at Naval Base Ventura County on Friday, August 24th. Soldiers of the 324th Signal Battalion were honored in a celebration on Friday, August 24th in Quincy, Illinois. And finally, the Arkansas National Guard's 185th Aviation Regiment returned home on Friday, August 24th. A special ceremony was held for 3 soldiers who were killed in a Black Hawk helicopter crash in January.
And we're back here on Veterans Radio, and today's program is entitled Helmets to Hardhats, and we're talking with a number of people hoping to help you if you're a recent veteran or even if you're an older veteran who is running a business or wants to start a business, that maybe we can help you get on that road to success and go along with that. There are many, many programs out there. We're talking to you this morning hopefully with Ann St. Eloy of the United Associates Union Program, Helmets to Hard Hats, Bill Elmore from the Small Business Administration will be on, and Rebecca David from CIT Small Business Lending Corporation. She will also be there. And who's on the air right now?
Ann St. Eloy. Good morning, Dale.
Oh, hi, Ann. How are you?
Great.
Thank you very much for getting up so early. I know that you are out in Washington State, aren't you?
I am.
Thank you very much. Tell me a little bit about the United Associates program for veterans.
Okay. Helmets to Hard Hats program is actually a building trades initiative, which means I'm with the United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry, and we'd like to hire all our veterans to become plumbers, pipe fitters, sprinkler fitters, heating, ventilation, air conditioning mechanics, welders. But if there's something else they have in mind, such as carpentry, electrician, and all the other building trades out there, elevator mechanic, painters, we can help them access any of those jobs through the Helmets to Hard Hats program.
Well, exactly how does it work for them? How would they get in touch with you to participate?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make sure that I leave everybody my email address today, and I'd like to personally help anybody who's interested access any of those programs. But our website for Helmets to Hard Hats is www.helmetstohardhats, all one word, .org. And there's also another program I'd like to talk to you about today, which has been created by the founders of Helmets to Hard Hats, which is less specific. In other words, they can go into all avenues, not just the construction trades. That program's called Hire a Hero, and that's www.hireahero, all one word, .org.
Okay. And if people do want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
My email address is annes@uanet.org. That's annes@uanet.org. And as I say, if I can turn them all into plumbers, pipe fitters, sprinkler fitters, and heating and air conditioning techs, I'd be more than happy to do that, Dale.
I think it's terrific. So let's suppose that I've just returned from Iraq and I'm being discharged and my MOS was HVAC, and so I would contact you. What would be the next step?
The next step is I would try and find out where you would want to relocate to. We have 316 local unions across the United States and Canada, and I would coordinate with that with the local union in the area you specifically wanted to go. Now, it may be, although not likely because most of our local unions are very busy, but should there be a shortfall of jobs in those areas, I would then reach out to surrounding areas and any other areas you were interested in and try and provide you with that networking, that connection you would require.
Does the program allow me into your apprentice program? Do I get some sort of little special dispensation to get into your apprentice program?
Very good question. You absolutely do. What would happen is we would look at your MOS at the local union and see how that translates into the apprenticeship system. And it may not be that you have piping-related skills,
right,
but we believe that if you're in the service and you've been fighting for our country, then there are skills that translate, such as leadership skills, teamwork skills, math and science, technical skills, and we try and give credit for those skills.
Okay, so if I'm an ammunition loader, there's still a chance for me to participate in this program.
Absolutely. It may be that you direct entry, once we look at your MOS, into second year. Our apprenticeship system is 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that you enter in at the second level. It may be if you have, for example, welding experience, you might enter in third-year apprenticeship.
Okay, and I can testify for the quality of your instructors in your UA programs because I met a large number of them a couple of weeks ago at their instructors training program, and these guys are, men and women, are extremely knowledgeable, and they all appeared to be very good teachers.
I I just want to add that we have a huge commitment from our General President, Bill Hite, and the officers in the general office, but also the local union offices, because many of them are veterans, and they want to do whatever it takes to work with the Helmets to Hard Hats program, to work with Hire a Hero program, and if there's any other programs out there, we want to work with all the veteran support programs.
Well, I think that's terrific, Ann, and I really do appreciate your coming on the program. And if any of you have any questions out there, don't hesitate to send Ann an email. That's at Ann, ANNES, at uanet.org, correct?
That's correct, Dale.
Okay. And we're going to put some of this information up on our website as soon as we can do that. We need to hire ourselves an apprentice to do to do that kind of information for us. So if you have any questions for Ann, don't hesitate to send her off an email and let us know how it works out for both of you. We'd greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ann, for being on Veterans Radio.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. The Helmets to Hard Hats, that's the United Associates Union program where they will help you with your transition from active duty to a career in the construction industry. If you don't want to be in the construction industry, they've also got a program called Hire a Hero, which will help you get into the trades. And I think it's a great program. It's terrific. And right now, joining me on the line, now that we're, if you don't want to necessarily work for the union and you want to start your own business, I've got Bill Elmore on our line, and Bill is the Associate Administrator of the Office of Veterans Business Development, and he'll be on to talk about their new Patriot Express program. Bill, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Good morning, Dale. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and that's Elmore, no S in that one.
That's correct.
All right, so tell me what's going on with the SBA as far as veterans are concerned.
Well, there's actually a full range of services and programs available to any veteran or reservist or family member, for any of that matter. Today we're going to talk primarily about the new Patriot Express loan program, but there's really a much broader range of access and services, so if you don't mind, I'll just give you a quick overview.
That will be fine.
All righty. SBA has 68 district offices around the nation, and every one of those district offices has a Veterans Business Development Officer assigned to it. So any veteran, any reservist, anybody that's recently discharged or about to discharge, and their spouses can call any of our district offices and ask to speak to the Veterans Business Development Officer, and they will be your starting point. They will be your guide. Now, at the same time, given SBA's mission of enabling primarily private economic success, we work with lots of partners as well. So we have about 1,500 small business centers around the country, small business development centers, women's business development centers, SCORE chapters, and 5 veterans business outreach centers. We also have some 6,000 to 7,000 lenders around the nation that work in cooperation with us and with our loan programs by using our guarantees to extend credit to veterans, reservists, family members, etc.
Well, again, those are great opportunities for all of our veterans. So if I wanted to start a business and I've contacted my local Veterans Business Development Office, what is he going to look for, or she?
Well, they're going to chat with you a little bit and sort of find out where you're at in your process. If you're simply thinking about starting a business, and almost 1 out of 4 veterans is, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in business and you're looking to expand, we have a range of loan programs. We have the new Patriot Express loan program, which operates in what we call the 7A loan program. That's our primary focus. But we also have a number of what are called micro-lenders, which people who are interested in, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 very small loans, as well as business counseling assistance. You can talk to any of our microlenders. Or, again, 7A, which is the Patriot Express. We also have the Community Express loan in there, which targets veterans, but it's not specifically designed for vets. And then above that, we have what are called 504 lenders, where we don't provide guarantees, but we participate with local community development and economic development organizations that produce or support or grow small business opportunity in local communities. And then at the top end, if you will, there's also the Small Business Investment Corporation program, which are really primarily private venture capital organizations, about half of which in America have either been started with or are supported by SBA programs.
Oh, okay. Well, if any of you are listeners out there, if you have any questions for Bill, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 877-573-7825. If you're thinking about starting a business and you want to know where to go, this is a good place to start. 877-573-7825.
You know, if I can share with you, let me talk a little bit about Patriot Express itself, which is a virtually brand new initiative. We just launched it 2 months ago. Almost half of the lending capacity of our private partner lenders are involved already, and they're continuing to sign up every day. In the first 2 months, we've made 171 loans at more than $17 million.
Wow.
They're averaging almost $100,000 a loan, actually slightly over that. And right now we have 582 lenders signed up. And as I said, they continue to petition to us virtually every day, and we have new lenders signing up every day. So it's really in the very beginning stages. In fact, I just returned last night from New Mexico, where I had the privilege. I was asked to present at a conference that SBA put together in conjunction with the state of New Mexico Department of Veteran Services. It was an excellent conference. We had almost 70 organizations involved, more than 300 veterans, and I had the chance to meet the first loan recipient of a Patriot Express loan in the state of New Mexico. So it's always nice to go out and actually meet our customers.
Oh, sure.
Because as a guy who moved to Washington 7 years ago to start this veterans program inside SBA and inside the federal government, I'm not a guy who grew up through the bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
I continue to be centered in what I think is our market. I have to work inside the systems in D.C., but my real effort is to try to engage our community, let them know what's available, and give them access and support and so on. So, you know, it's exciting times. You know, I'll kind of quote as a Colonel Jim Blanco at Department of the Army said this, so I'll give him credit, but there has never been, I don't think, a better time for a veteran or a service-disabled veteran to either start a business or, if in business, to look to perhaps become a federal contractor.
I was just going to go to that. We did do a program a while ago on the, the disabled veteran-owned businesses.
Yes, sir.
And that they are entitled to a certain percentage, I guess is the way it works, of government contracts. Could you explain that a little bit for me?
Well, about, again, 7 years ago, the law that created my job also established a 3% goal in federal contracting for service-connected disabled veteran-owned small businesses. So if you served and you have a service-related disability, anything from 0% to 100%, and you're in business, you should look at the federal marketplace as potentially where you may want to do some of your business. So there's a lot of effort being made now by SBA, by Department of Defense, Homeland Security, VA, Department of State, you name it. Virtually every federal agency is conducting serious and significant outreach to try to identify service-disabled vet small businesses that have an interest in and a capability of producing or providing what it is that that particular agency is looking for. However, I'll say this as a word of caution. The federal marketplace is huge. If you look at 3% of federal procurement, you're talking in the range of $9 billion a year.
That's with a B.
With a B. Now, on the other hand, there's lots of competition out there. There are hundreds of thousands of small businesses and, as everybody knows, numerous large businesses who contract with government. So simply because you want to enter into that arena, if you're not ready, if you're not geared to compete in the federal marketplace, it can take a long time to understand, to identify where it is you may want to try to offer your services or programs, to find the right buying spots, to make sure that you're ready to deliver should you succeed in securing a contract, and then actually deliver. But once you've gone through all those steps, which are not always easy, it is very competitive, but once you've gone through all those steps, there are numbers of service-disabled vet small businesses starting to enjoy very serious success inside the federal marketplace. And increasingly, we're seeing diversity organizations, state and local utilities, even some state governments beginning to target vets and service-disabled vets in their procurements as well. So the whole arena is really almost the starting point as we speak. Somebody said it better than me, but there's almost a kind of a gold rush happening right now. When I was down in New Mexico for this conference yesterday and the day before, there was a panel of federal and state and local contract opportunities, people from utilities, people from federal agencies, sitting there talking to 300 men and women in the audience going, I'm looking for this. Is anybody in the audience here capable of providing this kind of service, these kinds of products, these kinds of goods? They were almost openly saying, please come up and talk to me right now. I have an opportunity for you.
We talked with a number of people that have done that. We've got about a minute and a half till our break at the bottom of the hour, and I'm going to ask you if you can swing over to the other side. But could you tell me quickly about the gentleman in New Mexico and what type of business he started?
Well, the gentleman who received the first loan in New Mexico, very interesting, very nice guy. He's actually a former pro football player, and he's got a business where he provides office maintenance, office cleaning, and a broader range of things across, not only in New Mexico, but I believe he told me he had contracts in Oklahoma as well. And if you'll give me a second, I actually have a story. I'll give you his name, because he said it was okay. His name is Doug Kraft. He's president of Crystal Clear Maintenance. He was introduced to the loan program by the State Veterans Affairs Department, the Department of Veteran Services, and it took him just slightly over one day to have the loan approved. That's one of the elements.
Well, can I ask you to hold on to that, because we're coming up on our break at the bottom of the hour, and we'll complete that when we come back after our break. You're listening to Veterans Radio. We're talking today about helmets to hard hats. How do you go from military life to civilian life and make your own business? We'll be right back after this message. And we're back on Veterans Radio, and we are talking about helmets to hard hats, how you go from being in the military into hopefully running your own successful business. Right now I'm talking to Bill Elmore of the Small Business Association. And Bill, I'm going to ask you to complete your story. You were talking about a gentleman from New Mexico who got the first loan in your new Patriot loan program.
Yes, well, his business is named Crystal Clear Maintenance, and I'm going to read from the story here. It offers full-service cleaning and maintenance for business offices, medical buildings, manufacturing facilities, retail stores, schools, and private homes. The gentleman's name is Douglas R. Kraft. He was a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, also played professional football for 10 years. So anyway, he was put in touch with SBA through the state of New Mexico Department of Veteran Services. Our district office helped facilitate his contact with one of our lending partners in New Mexico, and within 48 hours, his loan was approved, which is one of the elements. And let me walk you through some of the elements, because this is really new and it's exciting for us, and we're really happy to be able to approach this loan this way. This is a special loan targeted to the military community. So specifically, it targets veterans, service-disabled veterans, any member of the Reserve or National Guard, any active service member who is going through the Transition Assistance Program, i.e. they're either going to retire or they're not going to reenlist, the spouses of any of those, and the widow of a service member who died in service or who died of a service-connected disability. So it's really broader than veterans. We did not change the definition of veteran. What we did was develop a program that targets the men and women and their families that are defending this country today. And we're really happy about that, and I think personally there's a couple of things that are just as important as access to capital for veterans. It really sets a new precedent inside the federal sector where we're much more broadly targeting services out to the community that's defending us.
I think that's so important, and I'm going to ask you to hold on here because I want to bring on our next guest. And joining us on Veterans Radio right now is Rebecca David, who is the Regional Account Manager for the CIT Small Business Lending Corporation, a division of the CIT Group. And CIT has been named the #1 SBA lender to women, veteran, and minority entrepreneurs for the 4th consecutive year. And Rebecca is going to talk with us today about CIT's Special Veterans and Franchise Program. Rebecca, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Well, thank you, Dale. It's great to be here. Happy September 1st.
Yes, there we go, into the fall finally.
Yes.
I can't wear white anymore.
That's right, that's right.
So, Rebecca, tell me about what CIT does for veterans.
Sure, Dale. As you mentioned, CIT has been recognized as being the #1 provider of SBA loans to women, minorities, and vets for the last 4 years, and we've actually been the #1 SBA lender in total for 7 years. So as an organization, my company's business unit, Small Business Lending, does more of these types of loans than anyone else in the country. And what I wanted to focus on today was our franchise programs, because for vets or their spouses or any of the individuals that Mr. Elmore just mentioned that might be interested in getting into a business, I think a way to really fast-track that would be to encourage them to consider a franchise opportunity. CIT has a very robust franchise review process. We regularly review the offering circulars of hundreds, literally hundreds of franchises on an ongoing basis. And we rank them based on the financial strength of the franchise, their training, their management support, their exit ratios, the support that they're going to give as an ongoing franchisee. Now, the reason why I'm encouraging vets to consider this route is that getting financing from CIT to either start up a new franchise location or to acquire already an existing franchise location that the owner just wants to retire or move on to something else can be a very expeditious way of having their own business relatively quickly. And the reasons why are that if a franchise in CIT system is one of our top-rated franchises, and obviously I have that list, but it's a proprietary list, so I would just encourage anyone that wants to check out the ranking of a franchise to give me a call. But if someone wants to open a brand new franchise that's on our list, we waive the normal management approval requirement. Normally to get an SBA loan or a startup situation, we require that there be at least 2 to 3 years of, hands-on management experience within the industry, because as we all know, that the startup ratios for success are, more limited than they are for ongoing concerns. But again, because of our robust franchise rating system, we are so comfortable with franchises that have received that top rating within our system that we know that they stand by their people, that they provide excellent support, and that they've pretty much put that veteran already through some rigorous financial analysis and management analysis already. And we trust the franchisor's opinion of allowing that person to have that franchise. So the management approval situation is waived, which can be a great benefit for someone who's been a lifelong person in the military that is now seeking to retire and may have never held a position in the business world or ever run a business before. Another advantage is that we can allow folks to purchase these startup franchises with just 15% cash injection. Normally, if you came to us and said, I want to start up a business and I have the management experience, we would still require at least 30% into it. So that's cut in half. The requirements are very easy. We have a very simple application process, and we would require that in their business plan, their personal tax returns, and we can get them into a brand new franchise with a very minimal amount of effort on their part.
So if I come up with an idea, let's say I'm getting discharged, and Bill, I don't know if I go to you first or Rebecca first. If I have this idea and I want to start a franchise of, and I won't mention any names out there, but this is what I want to do. who do I go to first?
Well, I think it is probably a combination. If you really don't understand some of the nuance and detail of managing, starting, establishing a small business, talk to SBA and secure whatever kinds of management, technical assistance, business counseling you may need. Perhaps only simply talking to a SCORE volunteer who's a farmer franchiser might suffice. But if you're really ready to go to the next step, then, yeah, talk to CIT or any of our other lenders. There's lots of franchise opportunities. And let me make a point here. I think what you really see here is that there's a growing and a strong recognition that veterans make great entrepreneurs and small business owners. We have a higher rate of self-employment and small business ownership than any group in America. And people are coming to recognize that, so there's lots of effort being made by lots of people across America to help and support and grow veterans as businessmen and women. So if you're ready to take that next step and to go ahead and look at the franchise you want and to get it financed, CIT's an excellent example of one of our lending partners to help you do that.
Well, I think it's really important that people realize one of our partners on Veterans Radio is an old CB, and their motto is "Can Do," and I think that that's something that a lot of military people feel that if there's a situation or there's a job to be done, we'll figure out how to do it one way or the other and get it done. And in a lot of cases, some people don't necessarily work that way, and I think that you're going to find a more dedicated workforce if you are working with veterans, because they do have a certain work ethic that's been instilled in them, whether they wanted it or not.
Absolutely.
Military service is selective itself. Not everybody gets in, and not everybody can get in. So simply by having served, you've already proved your worth. And then the training and the discipline and all the other elements and aspects that we all understand if we wore the uniform come into play. And after you've served, if entrepreneurship is where you want to go, there's lots of help out here now, and increasingly there's more and more people who want to make sure that you have access to that help through these special loan programs, through franchising opportunities, through federal contracting, through looking at other veterans who you may want to team up with or partner with. I mean, there's really, and it's really at the beginning stages, this recognition. There's something going on across this country that more and more people are involved in, and I'm really pleased to see it happening.
I totally agree. There are so many people that we talked to this week that wanted to be on, and we're going, we can't have everybody on at one time, so we're probably going to be doing a second show talking about business opportunities for veterans, including the franchises especially. There's a number of franchises here locally. I won't mention any particular type of food groups, but that are available to people in the Ann Arbor area that are strictly for veterans. And I know that the International Franchise Association has a special franchise program for veterans out there. And military.com, we found, is an excellent website for finding out more information.
Exactly. In fact, they put up an electronic Veterans Business Center for us. And I should mention, if you're in Ann Arbor, there is also a Veterans Business Resource Center, a not-for-profit organization in Flint, Michigan. They're not funded by SBA, but if you haven't talked to them, you may want to do that. They provide excellent services in their area as well.
Okay. And we also have stations, well, that would be closer to the Saginaw. We also are on a station down in Naples, Florida. And we are also, as Rebecca can contest, we are broadcasting across the world on the Internet right now.
Very good, very good. Dale, I just wanted to also mention that even in an even more expeditious way for a veteran to obtain preferential financing relative to franchises is if they found an existing franchise that was ready to sell. In that case, we don't view that as a startup situation. We view it as a business acquisition. And in those situations, it even gets better. Instead of the 15% required cash injection, now it's only 10%.
So if I go out and buy an existing franchise, I only have to come up with 10% of the funds.
Yes, under $1 million, it would be 10%. Over $1 million, we would say 10% towards the real estate part of the transaction, because if it's over $1 million, it probably does include real estate, and 15% of the other costs. However, we do franchise financing with or without real estate. So, but obviously, for just 10% initial equity into the deal, and they can also use the equity in their home for that. We try to make it extremely easy for veterans to get established, and I'm just thinking of all the different ways that they can do it. A franchise might be the fastest, quickest, cleanest, and swiftest for them to do that. And our minimum for this program is $250,000, but it goes all the way up to $2 million. So, as you said before, can do. Don't limit yourself before you ask the questions. Find out. As Mr. Elmore said, there's lots of folks out there that can direct you. There's lots of folks that deal specifically with franchises and would know which ones are for sale. There's a whole network out there of franchises selling to other franchises being sold. The franchisors themselves, again, because they're concerned about...
I got to jump in, Rebecca. Hold on just a second. We'll be right back after this message. You're listening to Veterans Radio. And we're back on Veterans Radio, and we are talking with Bill Elmore of the Small Business Association and Rebecca David of CIT Small Business Lending Corporation. We're trying to figure out how to help you get started in a small business. And, Bill, I was going to ask you, what kind of businesses do you find that people go into mostly?
Well, I'm not sure that you can really look at it that way. There's such a diversity of interest and strengths in the veterans community, in the active reserve, and in the discharging service members community. It really is every kind of business conceivable, whatever the particular or personal interest or experience of the individual service member or veteran. There's opportunity out there. You simply, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to identify where you think the niche is that you can meet the need. So, there's obviously a lot of vets in construction, high technology because of our training and so on, but we are in every industry that there is.
So there's really no industry that need not bother apply.
No, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I wanted to mention is there's a growing recognition that veterans, disabled veterans, and reserve small business owners are increasingly important in how we fight and win this long war. Not just Iraq and Afghanistan, but the global war against terrorism. We desperately need the men and women who have served and continue to serve to be involved in the business side of this as well, to produce and provide the goods and services and resources we need for our soldiers and for our service members.
Well, I know we've talked to a number of people on our program that have gone into private security businesses and are using their expertise in doing that. In fact, I have a nephew who was an Army Ranger who retired and is doing that now.
Well, and I think that's a good example. But, anybody that, we need supplies, we need materials, we need Kevlar, we need everything, obviously, and we want to produce as much of that as we can domestically and stateside. And veterans and reservists and disabled veterans, I think, are a primary part of our small business community to help produce those kinds of things for our service members.
Well, Bill, if you were to recommend, how would they get information on the Small Business Association? Where do they go first?
Well, if you can obviously go to our website. Like everyone else, we have a very robust web approach, and the basic starting point is www.sba.gov/vets, VETS. We also have a special page for reservists, which is www.sba.gov/reservist with an S, if you're a Reserve or Guard member, or your blue pages. Simply look in the phone book, in the blue pages, look up the Small Business Administration. And again, the starting point is ask for the Veterans Business Development Officer. And also, at around 1,000 college campuses and universities around the country, we have small business development centers. And then in addition to that, we have about 100 women's business centers, 400 SCORE chapters with 12,000 volunteers, more than half of which, by the way, are veterans themselves. The 5 Veterans Business Outreach Centers, and I think any of our lending partners like CIT and our thousands of others also are going to have basic information on how to contact SBA if that makes sense for you, if you need some business counseling or if you need additional information about all of our full range of procurement support programs.
And does this cost the veteran anything?
No, it is all free. Well, actually, I should be very careful with that. You know, if an organization puts on a local seminar, for example, I think down in New Mexico at this 2-day event, I think the cost was $50.
Okay.
And that simply went in to cover the cost of meals and donuts and coffee and that sort of thing from our third-party partners.
Right. But, I mean, the access to all of this information that's on the SBA website, I know that we have talked to the SCORE people here in Ann Arbor, and there is an SBA program that's run through Washtenaw Community College here.
Exactly, yes. So all of those services and programs are free. You've already paid for them through your service.
Terrific. Anything else you'd like to say, Bill?
No, other than, encourage, if you think you're interested in entrepreneurship, talk to some of our experts. If you decide right now's not the time, that's okay. You don't want to take this step until you're serious and you're ready, because entrepreneurship, while it's a wonderful place to work, working for yourself, if you're not ready for it, that's okay. Just continue to work on it, plan on it. I've known veterans that have worked for 10 years before they've actually established their own small business.
I can relate to that. Rebecca, tell us how we're going to get in touch with you and CIT for your special program.
Well, we also have a website. It's www.smallbizlending.com. You can look at a great wealth of information about our programs there. Or feel free to call me. Sometimes just calling a human and walking through something and getting comfortable with the process. And my number is 904-565-1206. And I encourage anyone that even just wants to chat, please give me a call.
That's 904-565-1206. And we will try to get that information up on there. Is there any one final thing that you would like to say, Rebecca?
I just endorse everything Mr. Elmore said. It doesn't hurt to explore. It doesn't hurt to chat, to talk, and there are plenty of resources out there to help you in that direction. I
think it's amazing. I think with the advent of the Internet and all the technology out there, that there are so many websites that veterans, not just veterans, but anybody who wants to start a small business can go to, even chat rooms. I know we've been participating in a couple of those where, we send in a question and we get back 20 answers that were so much better than anything we had thought of, that we really are helping each other out again.
There's an interesting element in the veterans community. We have an affinity for those that we've served with. And there's a lot of veterans starting to achieve significant success who do want to help other veterans coming behind them succeed as well. So don't be surprised by that, and in fact, I encourage and I'm doing everything I can to enable that.
Well, I think we're also going to be trying to do that same thing. We have found that even though we don't wear the uniform anymore, we still have a special affinity and some sort of connection with every one of those veterans that are out there. We're still watching our backs.
Absolutely. I'll mention something if I've got a minute here. The American Legion, for example, has started its own small business task force. And if you're a member of the American Legion, you can, as a membership benefit, buy health insurance for yourself and up to 49 employees in your small business. And for many small business owners, health insurance access is a really important thing. So
absolutely.
It's just another example of this giant veterans organization with more than 4 million members in the Legion family stepping up to the plate and doing what they can as an organization to support this whole arena.
I think that a lot of different organizations are doing that. They're becoming more and more aware of some of the issues that veterans are having when they do return home, and that they just need that extra little help.
Exactly. Well, it's help. It's really an opportunity. You got to think of veterans. We spend billions and billions of dollars recruiting, training, deploying the finest of America. And when they come home, this is all about enabling those farmer warriors to become some of our world's finest entrepreneurs as well. We're building these bridges as we speak, and it's really important not just for us as veterans, but for our communities and for our country. And that's what this is about. We like giving to our country, and then we like succeeding when we come home. And as we succeed, many of us will give again.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to thank both of you for being on Veterans Radio. Bill Elmore with the Small Business Association. Thank you very much for being on Veterans Radio. We hope to talk to you again soon. And Rebecca David of CIT, Small Business Lending. Thank you very much, Rebecca, for being on Veterans Radio, and I hope to be talking with you again sometime soon.
Thank you, Dale. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there we go. All of you out there, all you entrepreneurs, and now here's your opportunity. I want you to get on there and go to the SBA.gov website /vets and see what you can do. If you have an idea, they'll give you a head start. And if you need some money, I want you to go to the smallbiz.com website or contact Rebecca David at the phone number that she gave us, which was 904-565-1206, and we'll put that up on our website hopefully before the end of the weekend.
It's just amazing how much is available out there. I never realized that. It's reassuring.
It's very reassuring. I don't think any of us were aware of that. I was, I was on the web over the last couple of days researching all this information, and we really do have a whole nother show that we're putting together that will be talking with people about franchises that have got special franchise programs just for veterans. And I think they're great opportunities for all you guys out there, and we're really out here to promote your veteran-owned businesses too. We're always looking for advertisers, so if you want to get that you are a veteran-owned business, give us a call and we'll talk to you about that.
I'd always heard about the Helmets to Hardhats programs, but I never realized all the rest of it was available. That's phenomenal.
It's a pretty thorough program. I talked to a couple of pipe fitters and that had gone through the program with the UA, and they were very pleased with it. And they said it made the transition so much easier to go from a paycheck to a paycheck.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out what they wanted, they knew what they wanted to do, and this was the way that they were able to do it.
I wonder if the military services make that information available when the guys are getting ready to get discharged.
I think we'll have to research that one.
Yeah, we'll have to ask them.
Okay. And that's our show for this week. Next week, another opportunity for you to give us some questions, and we expect you to do that. The chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Congressman Bob Filner, is going to be on our program to answer your questions. So any questions that you have concerned about Veterans Affairs, issues that you think are important, we'll be talking about the Veterans Outreach Program, some of the issues, Health Care Improvement Act of 2007, Benefits Improvement Act, Returning Servicemen Insurance Act, so on and so forth. So mark it on your calendar that next week on Veterans Radio, here's your opportunity to talk to the guy who's head of the committee that hopefully will get your benefits taken care of. We've also got programs coming up in the near future about helicopter pilots. We're going to be talking about some people that have returned to Vietnam as civilians, and I think you'll find that interesting too. I want to thank Ken Rogie for helping me out in the studio today, and I especially want to thank our sponsors, the Marine Scholars Fund, Quantum Physical Therapy, Legal Help for Veterans, Len Pitlack, CPA, Schrader Yachts, and Sperry Van Ness and Lillian Associates for being a sponsor on Veterans Radio. We couldn't do it without all of you. Until next week, enjoy your Labor Day. You are dismissed.